Okay. Well, hello everyone. We are talking today with, is it Treendly or Treendly, creator Mike Rubini. Welcome, Mike.
Welcome and thank you for having me.
Well, I was inspired to click on Mike's software. I was on Reddit. I love Reddit, as you guys know, and I was on Reddit and just reading through. I forget which sub we were on, where you mentioned, was it new startups or?
I went viral in entrepreneur, so our entrepreneur side
Oh,
business
yes,
and
entrepreneur
business model.
subreddit. Yes, that was awesome. So I clicked on that because I thought, wow, it's really cool, to discover trends and I love, a lot of the trending, studying trends and looking into
Yeah,
different markets. And so I was just intrigued and said, "Hey, Mike, will you come and be on my podcast?" And he said, "Yeah, absolutely, let's do this." And then I sent him a really, really long list of all of my questions, and he was like, "No problem." So I love that. Mike, welcome. And please tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and your background and how you got started in trends.
sure. Yeah, so my background is actually in competitive intelligence and data collection. And I have a company, like my umbrella company is called RubiniSolutions uh, because of my surname. And we declined that by having SaaS. So SaaS, if you don't know, is software as a service. It's a business model where you have software, you create software, and then you have people who value that software enough to pay something per month to access it. So that's basically what we do. And the problem we are trying to solve is basically data collection, because generally you have two problems with data. One is that it's growing exponentially, and it's basically information overload. That's what it is. And the other one is that it's everywhere, and it's basically yeah, data fragmentation. That's the problem that we are also trying to solve for different industries, one being e-commerce. And so what we do is we take all the data and we centralize it in one software. That's what we do.
Oh,
So
that's awesome.
yeah, and I mean the thing with data is that you are as good as the data that you have. So if you use the same data that your competitor has, we have a problem. It's a double-edged word, because when you are starting out, you can copy, a competitor by having the same data, and that's fine. You can get to the same level pretty quickly. But when you arrive at a certain level, it's a problem, because you try to have an advantage on your competitor, and you have to kind of have, look to in other sources that you can then find data to get this advantage. And
Yeah, I think that, we were just talking about this before we went live. I was explaining that a lot of Amazon sellers use product research software
right,
for finding new products, and right now that's not working as well anymore because the market is so saturated with different sellers. And then
right,
since COVID-19, there's nobody can trust the numbers of revenue and stuff like that. And so you mentioned that you don't think that using product research software is necessarily a good thing, and let's talk about that. Why shouldn't we use product research software?
yeah. I mean, I'm pretty bullish on that, because I'm pretty bullish on the fact that I don't think these research software are good, because of a few things. The first thing is that e-commerce is not plug and play, so people, like, they want to just have a product and sell quickly, and that's not how it works. Like, you cannot skip the research part, which in fact is the part that is the most important in my opinion. And the problem with those software in particular are that the products they highlight, they get saturated pretty quickly, because they have a huge list of customers, huge list of emails that they push these software, these products to, and all the people are then running the same product most of the time on, they do ads on Facebook or they do ads on Amazon, so it gets really quickly saturated. In fact, I think if you want to go that route, you should think a little bit different about it and maybe piggyback on the demand that it's created by other people trying to reach the audience of those products, right? So, for example, if they say, hey, this dog collar is off, right? Everybody's going to Facebook or is going to Amazon, so it's creating this demand, right? But not all of people will purchase there right on Facebook, right? Because you get people that are maybe busy, they are on the bus or whatever, and you also get cheap people, which are the ones that do a little bit of research before buying, right? And so if you instead get yourself on, let's say, platforms like Google Shopping for the same product, you will be having much less competition and maybe some more sales and spending less because the demand is created by all these people that are they are just doing the hard work for you of creating the awareness for the product.
So if you are able to, for example, get that same product on a platform where people are looking for that product, but there's not so much competition around it, like on Amazon or, some of these other platforms, you may be able to get more direct sales from that. That's really good advice. And I think it's really good advice too, if you're to either not use that, and we're going to get into like, how do you research trends? So tell us, you mentioned that, the double-edged sword of having data and like also of, having the same data as your competitors. So tell us a little bit about your software, Treendly, and tell us about what's different about it versus something like Google Trends.
Right. Yeah. Before I do that, let me just add one other thing regarding data that is data is also great because it's better than our perception, and most of the time, like we rely on our perception, like that is, by the way, limited. So maybe like if you are recently married and you have a newborn, you will, while you go on the street and all you see is newborns like everywhere, right? Because it's like you are in a bubble and you have this selective perception of things. Instead, relying on data is a good way to find the hard truth, the harsh truth about if this thing is working or not, right? So that's another thing about data. And what we do with Treendly, my latest software, and just to give you some context, I have two software in e-commerce. One is Treendly and one is Cart. It's called Cart, and one specifically is for Shopify merchants, and Treendly is more general to spot trends. And what we do differently from Google Trends is that Google Trends is for researching things that you already have heard of. Instead, Treendly is for finding things that you haven't, because we expose you to different trends that you might not even know what they are, but they are getting some traction right now. And we are different things other ways too. For example, we also collect microdata, meaning obviously we rely on Google Trends a lot, but we also collect forum conversations, Reddit threads around that topic to really see and if that trend is really trending, if that topic is really trending.
So you're looking also in conversations online. I know when I talk about and when I teach how to research trends in the market, I always tell people, well, don't just rely on Google Trends. That's one data point. Go out and look and see what people are talking about on Reddit. Look at what people are pinning on Pinterest. Look at what people are saying in Facebook groups. Look at all of those things. So what your software is doing is also pulling in some of those conversation threads.
Yeah, absolutely. We do that to just quickly check that the trend is not just trending because people are searching for it, but are people talking about it as well? And we also monitor other sources related to country-specific trends that we might monitor. For example, if you are, selling in Netherlands, we monitor, for example, bol.com, which is like the Amazon in Netherlands. So we also monitor country-specific things and sources that might be good to spot early trends in some countries.
Speaking
And
of trends, right now we have trends that are happening because of COVID-19. And
yeah,
you guys did a study on trends during COVID-19, and you published that on the Treendly website. And so I would love to hear a little bit about, what you learned during this case study and what really surprised you about trends during COVID-19.
right. Yeah, we did this case study where we basically researched what people were searching online, and now their behavior was shifting week by week. And basically, we found that people went from searching for keywords that were related to protection, and that's the common thing you would expect. So like sanitizer, antiviral masks, immunity boosters, to searching keyword related to essential when the crisis first emerged. So like of course toilet paper was a must, right? And then also baby wipes, all the essentials. And then they went, we spot this really interesting topic of DIY, which is people starting making things for themselves. So either they started with DIY masks, but now that people are at home, maybe they are researching how to make shampoo at home, how to homeschool their kids, how to what are some activities that they can do fitness wise while they are at home, as well as other things, what they can bake because
Yeah,
the first thing they
recipes
do.
and cooking and
Yeah,
cleaning and taking care of things, how to cut your own hair, how to cut
exactly.
your kids' hair, how to groom your dog, or take care of your cat, because
Sure.
now suddenly all those places are closed. Um,
Right.
if you're a blogger at this time, you could really take advantage of growing your following, because you could put up a ton of DIY videos or DIY articles about how to do these things. I'm sure there's a lot of bloggers really doing well
Right.
right now.
Yeah, and the other thing we saw is like also for fitness and increment in solitary activities like solitary fitness, like hiking, for example, or running at the beginning where there was not on the lockdown. And then finally, now that people are now at home, they are searching for either ways to work better. So everything related to remote working. Here in Italy, they call it smart working. And also to entertain themselves and their partners, their kids, and staying in touch with their families and relatives. So like things like, of course, Zoom, like we are now on, Skype, all these tools that before a digital nomad would use now are friendly in uh, all over the country. The other things that I was maybe surprised to, you have virtual pranks, for example, related to this Zoom thing. You have like Zoom bombing, Zoom pranks that are also trending. Of course, clothing wise, you have loungewear, which is trending right now because everybody is staying at home and they want comfortable clothes. The
Yes.
other thing is gardening. Oh my God, it's skyrocketing. And then obviously educational things for their kids. So as we mentioned, they are probably homeschooling. So like CVC words, directed drawings for kids. But I was surprised really because of spiritual stuff, because people actually started turning on to their religion and their like spiritual awareness. So for example, with cart, where we monitor sales of another software of mine, where we monitor sales of Shopify stores. We have seen that, for example, groceries are selling well right now, and also people are, trying to put their life in order. So, for example, online wheels are something that it's getting traction right now. Online churches as well. So you get all the spiritual stuff that is also very powerful.
Wow. Yeah. I hadn't even thought about the spiritual trends. I mean, I know for me, just staying healthy spiritually is really important right now, but I hadn't thought about that as well. So you said you have another software that monitors Shopify.
Yeah.
Did you say it's called Cart?
Yeah, you can find it at usecart.com.
Use Cart, like CART.
Yeah,
.com. Okay,
yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out because it's really good to have sales trends outside of Amazon tools. So
yeah, we have a lot of case studies that we do monthly. Because what differentiates us there is that we actually track real sales of Shopify stores. So we get sometimes non-anonymous sales, but also anonymous sales. So sometimes we get like the real names of the buyers, and we get to see who is buying from where and for how much. So it's really complex data and also very reliable data, I would say. And for example, last month we did a case study on a brand that is selling basically no content books, which obviously you being on Amazon, you already know. But they are doing basically a card game for partners, couples at home. So that's the thing also, because with people staying at home, you have all this time to kill, right? So you have like scavenger hunt is trending, even for kids, but also for date nights, for example. And this brand in particular is doing a card game for like that facilitates the communication between the couple, and it's selling very well. All in all, on their store, they are doing more than 100K per month. Selling this type of things, just no content.
Wow. Yeah, I know like print on demand is really up right now, as well as, educational activities and games. And so just showing everyone kind of the front page here of Treendly.com as well as usecart.com. We can see they have the coronavirus trends case study that we were just talking about, and some online board games. Wow, that's up 34%. That's really interesting. Noah's Wire, okay, but lots of interesting updates for kind of what's going on right now, and I think it's really cool. Also, what surprised you and what you're finding across the board. So I have some more really great questions for you. Speaking of coronavirus and everything, all these trends that are happening, what, as sellers, do you think that e-commerce sellers could be focused on during coronavirus in order to really just do really well in sales? And then what do you think will be emergent after all of this is over?
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, as always, you have two ways that you can go about it. One is going for things that were already steadily growing before COVID and will probably grow as well after COVID. And the other play that you have is going to trends that are very quickly rising, and they are just things that are growing now but probably will decline very very soon. Because that's another play that you can do, because nowadays you can spin up a store in no time. So that's the other thing. So what I think I would do is going for things that were already steadily going before COVID. So things like cooking at home, and as we said, now everything with the word artisan in it is kind of getting traction. Prepping is another industry that is very good to invest
Prepping
in.
like doomsday prepping, basically, kind
No,
of.
prepping like basically the survival niche, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I meant. And also, for example, one thing that it's now getting some traction is composting, because people are in lockdown. Maybe some cities they don't have the trash services, whatever you call it. So composting is getting traction a lot, as well as, for example, gaming. All people are gaming right now, like esports, like iRacing. All these things are getting traction. So these are just a few things that I believe would steadily grow also in the future. And
Yeah.
yeah, speaking on when this is over, I think people will actually spend more when it's over.
Why do
Because
you think that? Why do you think people will spend more money? I mean, many businesses have shut down and there's been a lot of people who have lost their incomes, but you're thinking that the trend is going to go that people are actually going to shop more and spend more. So, we're getting into Q4 pretty soon. Before we know it, this summer will be over, and then all of our sellers will start prepping for the Christmas season, which is when, it's going to be really crazy.
Mhm.
Do you predict that consumers will spend more even through the summer and as we get into the Christmas season? And what kind of things should we be focused on trying to sell?
Right. Yeah, I think they will spend more, because basically the only way to kind of predict the future with some certainty is looking for things that repeat themselves through history, right? So that's what I'm looking for constantly. And actually, to find good waves, you kind of have to look for things that, as I said, repeat through history, but then, ironically, don't change in the context, right? So,
Right.
for example, one thing that does not change is how people behave. So, if you take coronavirus, for example, I mean, I didn't live it, but from what I heard from like my grandparents and stuff, there are a lot of similitudes with, for example, the post-war crisis we had in Italy, right? And what we know is that yes, people were poor, but people, they worked extra hard, and we had an economic boom, at some point. So basically, people from where I see it, it's they want to work extra, they want to work around the clock, and trying to be creative, finding new ideas to make business, and they eventually will have more money to spend, uh, because if you are in an economic boom and you have money and money is easily reachable, all the activities will eventually have an upper end. We'll have more money to spend, and then the economic cycle will be.
So you think even though some businesses have shut down and some people have lost their income, you think that people will find new ways to make money and then
Yeah,
continue to spend that money and put it back into the economy?
yeah. I mean, long term, yes. I think so.
That's really cool. So, I love how you're kind of focused on things that don't change over time. So I think that people will be traveling. I think people will
Yeah,
get back to shopping. I know I posted an article this morning about, the potential collapse of retail, but I don't really think retail will collapse. In fact, I think a lot more people, they'll be tired of shopping online a little bit, and they're going to want to go out to the stores and like see things and do things. And I don't think they'll stop shopping online. I think that will also continue to grow. But this article was kind of alluding to like retail, basically brick and mortar retail, just going
yeah.
completely under. And I don't think that that's going to happen because people are going to want to get out. They're going to want to have an experience. They're going to want to see things. They're going to want to travel again
Exactly.
and all of
I
that.
think I think I think the important thing to remember for an online business is that it's not enough to just be a logistic partner right now. Because if you think, a Shopify store or even an Amazon business, okay, what you sell is convenience. So like you sell that, you have obviously you have a nice product, and that's a must, good quality product. And then you sell basically logistics. So you sell the fact that you can have this product in no time at your house, etc. But what I think in the future will happen is that you will sell basically based on knowing the customer better than anyone else. So you will basically become a recommendation partner for your customer. So the point where you want to be is even suggesting things to your customer that he doesn't know he wants. But it can be helpful because you know the data, right? And I think that's what everybody should point to in the e-commerce business.
Yeah,
It,
I would agree. I think the days, especially with the saturation, so many more people are going to be moving to e-commerce because, hey, maybe they didn't like their job and they see this e-commerce opportunity. And so the market's going to become really saturated with Me Too products. The market is already really saturated with Me Too products. And so I think that it's really important, as you said, to know your customer and know their needs. And I would say even more importantly, I'm doing a listing optimization masterclass right now, and I'm talking to people about you really need to be able to communicate to your customer better than the brand that's selling a similar product. Even if you're selling the same product as them, if you can communicate why the customer needs your product better than your competitors, that customer is going to feel trust with you. They're going to feel like, okay, yeah, they feel that emotional connection that's necessary when buying a product. So
I think also like ultra personalization would be good. Like, for example, matching the words on your shop, on your site, to the funnel, like the stage in the funnel that the customer is in, for example. And another thing that I think it would be good long term, and it's now getting some traction in Asia, is actually shopping plus live streaming. So right now in Asia, you already have like Taobao and other platforms that are doing this type of initiatives to sell art goods, like goods from agriculture, for example. So they would like just live stream, and then you buy what you see, right? And that's, I think, a huge opportunity. Maybe we'll have some platforms in the future, if not Amazon or Shopify, to this that does exactly this. It's like going back to what we used to, like we had on TV, like people demoing the products, right?
Yes.
But on the internet, so it's great.
Right, like the ads seen on TV, and now it's all about like live streaming and showing those products being used. That's really cool. So typical niches that are popular during the holidays are things like toys, electronics, kitchen appliances, beauty. Do you expect certain things to be more popular than others because of coronavirus during this holiday season? For example, like travel, do you think there'll be new opportunities in new niches that weren't popular last year, for example?
Yeah, I mean, in the short term, I think, like, for example, this summer, people, they want to go out in the wild, and so I think, there are things that would be more in demand. For example, travel is one of that. Maybe restaurants too. We'll see how it works, how it evolves. But long term, I think everything will be kind of the same that we used to have. And then as I said, new ideas will emerge around the concepts that basically were developed during coronavirus. So that's what I think.
So how do you recommend that people utilize software like yours to find new opportunities for selling things even during the summer or during Q4? How could I use Treendly to find new opportunities?
Right. So, I mean, aside from my product, which you should do, there are a lot of sources that you can tap into manually. And what I do recommend is, confirming the trend by looking at multiple sources. So, for example, also looking at sources that are not completely related to your business. So, for example, if you do Amazon, maybe you can also look at Amazon Books, Amazon Kindle, for example, just to find ideas and confirming that the trend is good. But maybe you can look on Wish, or you can look at country-specific source, like we said, bold.com. There are others that you can look into as well. But what I do recommend more than everything else is looking for microdata. So basically what I refer to as microdata is basically clues left by your competitor customers. That could be an early indication of a trend. So for example, number of reviews could be a clue. And then actually you can actually don't stop there and go even further, because you can actually analyze all of these clues and come up with a better product than your competitor has, by analyzing all the pros and cons. And that's actually what I did to actually shift Treendly to main Treendly as well, because I have competitors too. And I analyzed, all their launches, all their reviews on G2 Crowd, all their YouTube comments, and I analyzed the good and the bad, and then I, made my product into their weaknesses. Basically, you want to arrive at a point where the weaknesses of your competitor are, is equals your unique value proposition.
So the weaknesses of your competitors equals your unique value proposition. So this is something, Mike, that I talk a lot about. I love product development. I love all of that. And something that I discourage people from doing, though, is using reviews as their only data source, right? So many people will look for reviews to kind of see, oh, wow, this product is really popular. But they'll just look at the bad reviews as a way to differentiate their product. And where I can see that becoming a flaw is just because, for example, someone says, oh, I hate this garlic press, like the handle isn't long enough. It doesn't mean that all these people are going to go and buy a garlic press with a longer handle, right? So sometimes, how would you avoid, how would you know that it's actually a weakness that someone would appreciate in a new product or a new service?
Sure. Well, you look at quantity, so like reoccurrence of that problem over a certain number of people. So obviously that is the first thing to do. And then I would encourage not to look at reviews just to find things that you can improve, but also like marketing angles, copy. Like you can use words straight from your like the mouth of your target market. And one other thing that my good friend Massimo Giacchino, which who is someone I learned this thing from, also told me is about Instagram, for example. So if you go on Instagram, you go to the tab where you can see all the people that tagged you, and so you go to that tab on your competitor. You will see all the people that use that product and in what context, which is it's basically your target market saying, this is another marketing angle that you can use, because maybe you can do a whole new product, and then a new niche product for that particular context, particular use. So it's not just for like features. It's the whole story,
You were saying I go on Instagram, right? And I look at, so I'm in the cat market, right? I have a product for cleaning the litter box. So I
Right.
could go to my competitors and on Instagram, for example, and I could look at all of the people that like my competitor's product or follow my competitor's product. And then what information can I glean from them about that? Do I just simply target them? You mentioned I can see the people that follow that product and in what context. What context am I looking for on Instagram?
Yeah, for context, I mean, like the actual content, maybe, I don't know how to do this with CAP, but maybe, they are using something um, outside, and that's maybe a marketing angle that you can use, and not in their own. Maybe they are, maybe there's kart racing and you don't know about kart racing, I don't know. But there's basically, it's like a wealth of information that you can extrapolate, but it's not like you go
So
and
you're
retarget.
basically looking at what they're posting then, like
Yeah,
what other related things there are. Maybe there's related hashtags, maybe there's things that you didn't
yeah.
know about in
Yeah,
that
it's not
market.
like it's not like a trick like you go and retarget those people. No, it's actually you do the analysis, one by one and see if there is a pattern there and if there are cool opportunities that you can tap into that your competitor is not.
So you're looking at each of their profiles and kind of their activity and what they're doing and just kind of like basically getting a really good feeling for your target market.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's
Okay.
what I do, and that's what I do all the time. That's how I build also my software product. So I would advise that.
Very cool. And, we get to skip some of those steps by using Treendly because we get to you're already pulling that data. So yeah, that's really cool. So, um, how can we use your software specifically to research trends? I would love to share my screen, and
Mhm.
I would love to get into your software here, and maybe we can do something like cats, right? if
Sure.
we do, I think I put in cat litter the other day in your software here, and I love it's free to do some initial searches, which is
Yeah.
great. So let's see
Yeah, so
what.
basically how it works, I mean, there's two ways that you can use the software. One is you can manually search, as you can do it, doing right now. And what we do is we analyze the trend for you. So at a glance here, you can just see that, cat leader has sustained yearly growth, and it's peaking right now. And it says low opportunity because it means that the market is pretty much saturated. It's people are searching out for this, so you have more competitors. And it says that this week versus last week, it has grew 10 points, and then this month versus last month it grew 15 points, 15%. And then it says that this year this topic peaked 12 times by more than 25%. It is again peaking right now, and how much it increased last time that this peak. So, for example, because now it's peaking, the peak began growing on the trend began growing on March 8th, and then it yet to reach the peak. So
So
now
I
it's
can,
just 1 days that is peaking.
versus on other software where I might see a peak but not get additional data, you're telling me, okay, it hasn't yet reached its peak yet. It started peaking on this date, and I can kind of get
Yeah,
a little bit, I can glean a little
but
bit more data.
you get an idea of the volatility. I don't know the English word for this, but of the trend, because if you get a lot of peaks, it means it's extremely volatile. But if you get just one peak, it's really rare that you get one peak only. But if you get like 3, 4, maybe it's a good trend that you want to invest because it's picking up. And
Right.
other things you can see the interest by year, by week, by month, and in the last 5 years. And on the Pro plan, actually, we also have a prediction feature where we actually use the 5 years of data to predict how the trend would go. would perform. And also, as you can see right now, you see related searches not only from Google, which are cool, but also from Amazon and YouTube, and we are integrating more as well.
Oh, and then I can click here to search on Google Trends. Yeah. And then I can also click here to search this trend on Treendly as well.
Yeah, and you can search in any country too.
Wow, and you're showing YouTube queries, which is really great because then I don't have to go to YouTube and try to figure it out. And then I've got top Amazon queries. So what are people searching for on Amazon right now? That's incredibly valuable. And then rising Google queries.
Yeah, it's basically what people are searching for right now. So like Vibrant 5 cat litter, I think it's a brand, but also wooden cat litter, I think I've shown wood pellet cat litter, you can see there. So it's all ideas that you can then research and track the trend of these two as well. And if you go down, we also see the forums discussion. So for cat litter, we monitor 6,400 in the last 3 months. And you can see there's a spike there on March 24 for some reason.
And what happens if I click this? Does it take me to that forum, or is that?
No, because it's from different forums. But if you click on any one of these, we just show you a sample of the, the last conversation happening. Not all of them, because it would be, too much to have 60,000 on a page.
But some of the some of the ones that got a little bit more engagement, and then I can go and
if you click, you can you will go to the conversation, and you can see we scrape also from like specific forums to pets, so not only Reddit, and these two that you can see now are from Reddit as well. So yeah, it's again useful to get in there and get some microdata,
For example, if I'm a cat litter manufacturer, which I'm not, I'm in the cleaning business, but people are concerned about dust. I can see people are saying that you can save money by switching to pine pellets. I can look at these various trends and kind of see what's going on. I also see how you utilized up here at the top that I can check this on cart. So if I click here, I can look and see what's going on with this trend on your cart software.
Right now, you have to be logged in on cart to see, but I'm doing an integration between my software because I can, where you can see the products right into Treendly. That's coming in the next weeks. I'm just working on it right now.
And then I can also look on SEMrush, which is a really popular tool for SEO. Yep. And then AliExpress, Wikipedia, Google, and then search a trend in another country. So if I want to see how this trend is doing, let's say I want to move into the German market, or I want to move into, the Japan market, I can look and see how that's doing.
Yeah. So. And the other thing we do, as I said, is that we also expose you to some trends. So right now, I mean, you probably don't have a pro account, but we do have a section in the site where we have all of the trends that we spotted, and you can also filter by categories. One being pets, for example, and you can see what's trending in the pet category. You can also filter by the trend type, because we don't only search, like we don't only spot products, we also spot concepts, people-related trends, as well as company trends as well. So you can filter by those. And then you can also filter by the amount of spike that the trends has, and how much is peaking, and all of these things that are really useful. But those are on the pro plan. On the free plan, you get to just a selection of trends. I think there are 12 trends. They change over time as well. So if you go back in a week, you will see different trends.
Okay, very cool. So
the other thing you can do is that
right now you have $9 a month. That's insane. That's pretty good. So, all right, very cool. Well, we'll definitely check it out. Thank you, Mike, so much. Anything else you want to add? Any last pieces of advice for us sellers in this time? Any last pieces of advice for us killing it, crushing it even more on Amazon and in e-commerce?
Well, I think e-commerce will go, will grow a lot. And isn't if I had to choose one thing, it would be like definitely do a brand versus the quick thing of just spinning up a store, which is good for for testing out things. But a brand is definitely the way to go because, as I said, in the future, people are going to choose you because you know them better than anyone else. You want to become a recommendation partner to them, and so use data wisely to get there quicker.
Yes, that is so important. I would agree. I love that. I love that quote. Well, thank you, Mike, so much for being with us today,
Pleasure.
and thanks for allowing us to kind of check out your software. And yeah, I hope everybody will get out there and start studying some of these trends and see what's going on.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thanks everybody for listening.